Hi, welcome to Theater Crafts, where we take theater memorabilia and we make brand new treasures. All right, so today we're doing something completely different. Today we're going to make sock puppets. And so basically we're using materials that you probably have at home already. So long socks, sports socks would be great. But I'm also using things like felt and just cardboard and tubes and old costume jewelry. So let me show you. So we got this little lady right here. So this is, I've made rat puppets. These are mice or rat puppets. And so we've got some yarn, but her eyes and her nose are made out of old costume jewelry. And we got this guy right here, and same thing. Eyes and nose are costume jewelry. We've got some yarn, some felt, some old scraps of ribbon, and some forks and spoons for the teeth. So today we're going to make sock puppets using materials we have around the house. All right, let's get crafting. All right, so I've already told you a lot of the materials you need. So we got some socks here. Long sports socks are best, fleece socks. Obviously, you need felt. This is for the ears and for the inside of the mouth. A cardboard tube, paper towels, toilet paper, wrapping paper, and just a piece of cardboard. That's going to be the mouth plate. And then like I said, I've used old jewelry for the eyes and the nose, but you could use googly eyes if you want. That works too. And then yarn, obviously, for your hair, whatever color you happen to have. And then these are the plastic utensils that I'm using for the teeth. And then because I'm making a rat, I'm using some fishing line for the whiskers. So basically, you're going to take your piece of cardboard and you're going to score it. And this is making the mouth plate inside the mouth so that you can have like the hard surface. So if you notice, I made the top a little bit bigger than the bottom. That was so I could add some teeth. And now I'm just kind of sketching out what I want for the shape of the mouth. So because I'm making rat, I wanted it to be a little bit pointy. But you can make it rounded if you're making a person or depending on the kind of character you're creating. So again, now I'm making the bottom part and just sketching it out. It doesn't have to be exact. And, whatever works for you. I see here, I decide, I need to kind of cut that down a little bit. So it's perfect because it's cardboard. It's really easy to work with. And then you're going to take your cardboard tube, and this is making basically almost like the forehead of your puppet. And then you're going to cut out a hole on the bottom. I end up having to make mine a little bit bigger, but this is for your fingers to be able to manipulate the mouth plate. So then you're going to take your mouth plate and you're going to put the tube on top, and then you're going to glue it down. Don't be stingy with the glue. Actually, you want this to be really secure. You could even tape it if you're worried about it at all. But I put glue on the outside and then even on the inside and really let that set up. So I'm going to let that set up, and then we're going to work on the ears here. And with the ears, I've got just some felt, and I'm folding it in half again. And that's so that I can make sure the ears are exactly the same size. So just folding it in half. And then I'm just eyeballing it. You totally can use a pattern if you'd like, but I just kind of cut that out. And then I want to just trim this outside one just to make it the same size. And that's your outer ear. And then I decided I wanted to make pink for the inner ear. So I'm basically doing the same process for the inner ear here. So kind of gauging how big to make it. And of course, I want it a little bit smaller because I want to be able to see the kind of the rim of the outer ear. So literally just cutting it down. And then I'm going to glue that on, and you'll see in a moment. I'm just kind of rounding it out, making sure that it looks the way you want it to look. Perfect. And then I'm using here hot glue to glue it down. You could use like a standard white glue as well, whatever works for you. And just glue both of them down. And now we're going to take that mouth plate. It's nice and cool. And I'm going to be honest, this is the hardest part of the whole project, is getting basically like the skeleton inside the sock. And so You want to get that up there. Now, if you're using a sock that has a kind of like a heel to it, you want that heel to be in the inside of the mouth, because that's where you're going to need the most fabric, if that makes any sense. These socks that I'm using here don't have that heel part, so I have to kind of go with wherever it is, but whatever works for you. And on here, what I'm doing is I want to be able to glue it inside. So I'm just kind of pulling it up and putting just a little bit of hot glue in there, and then gluing that down. And that's so that the sock doesn't move when you're moving your puppet. You don't want it to kind of move around. And then you want to add kind of the inside of the mouth here. So I'm just using another piece of felt. You could use colored paper if you want, whatever color works for you. I chose to go with this pink, but you could do black or you could do tan, whatever you want for your particular puppet. And then you're going to take that and you're going to glue that in. And like I said, you could use white glue or you could use hot glue. I'm using hot glue here, but white glue would certainly work as well. There's just a little bit longer drying time. And you're basically going to glue those down, and there you go. And now we're going back to the ears. So the ears are all cooled, and basically the way I create ears for puppets is I take the two corners like here and I put the corners together, and that actually adds like a cup kind of look to it. And I'm going to use a little bit of hot glue, and I'm actually going to clip it just so that they get, a little bit of stability while they're cooling. But it creates a really great look for the ears when you do this. So basically just adding a clip and going to let those cool down a little bit. And once they're cool, then you can take them and again, you can just hot glue. Now, all of these too, you could actually sew them if you wanted. I do these types of puppets with students, and so it's easier for them to hot glue. And so that's what I'm doing here. And you basically put them where you feel they need to be glued on for the type of puppet that you're making. Like for the rats here, we're putting them kind of at the top of the head. How cute is that? And so now that we've got those, I'm going to add kind of the back of the throat. So I'm just using a Sharpie here and adding a little bit of kind of a dark back of the throat. You don't have to do this. I just think it adds a little bit of kind of dimension and character to the puppet, but totally up to you here. And then, of course, once you do that, you need to add the tongue. So I just took a little piece of red felt and cut, I don't know, random tongue shape and kind of glued that in to the back of the throat. And then you've got your tongue. It's so silly. All right. And so now we're adding the features. And like I said, I took this just necklace and I decided to add these little black beads as the eyes, because I figured they have kind of little beady eyes, and just gluing them where I feel they make sense for this puppet. And look at that. You could do googly eyes as well, and that would work too. And then for the nose, I happen to have this old costume jewelry necklace. And so I took one of the beads and I'm just kind of like making sure that there's enough space in there for the whiskers. So for whiskers, I decided to use fishing line. I'm a big fan of fishing line. I use it all the time for all different kinds of projects. And so I cut basically 3 different pieces around the same size. And you want to make sure that they all go in. Now, the fishing line I have here is kind of thick. It's a thicker fishing line. You can use anything that you happen to have. And so basically trying to get all of those pieces of fishing line through that hole, got them in. And then I wanted to make sure that they didn't come out. So I just added just a little doublet of glue on the ends there, just so that those lines don't come out. See, on each side. And then you're going to put the glue on the nose, and you're going to glue that nose right on to the front of the puppet. Look at how much his personality is starting to come through. So I've been making 2 puppets during the course of this. So you see both versions here. So now I'm going to create hair. And I just happen to have this skein of black yarn, and I found this cup in my kitchen. So I'm wrapping the yarn around. I want to create a kind of a puppet with long flowing hair. So basically, it's almost like creating a pom pom if you've ever done that. But I'm just going to tie on one side here, and I wrapped it around. I don't know, like 50 times. So there's quite a bit of yarn here because I want long flowing locks for this particular puppet. And then I'm cutting the ends, and you can trim it to make it, even if you'd like. And then I'm going to glue this on. Now, I think I went a little overboard with the hair on this one. Let me know what you think in the comments below. But I knew I wanted to make bangs on the puppet. So I decided to pull some of the strands that are kind of in the front towards the front so that I can cut them for bangs. Now, you could do anything with this hair. You could braid it, you could make pigtails, totally up to you. But basically, notice I kind of stuck the sock, the top of the sock, into the top of the cardboard tube, and then I'm gluing that hair piece down on there so that it's secure. And then look at that hair, it's crazy. And then I'm going to cut some bangs. Now, I took some and cut it as long as I felt I wanted them to be, and then decided to add a little bit more on the ends here. Again, totally up to you. You can style your hair any way you want. You could comb it out and you could slick it down. You could make a little like kind of short spiky do, which is what the other one has. Totally your aesthetic. And then I decided just to glue these down a little bit just so the bangs don't go flying around. So there she goes. Kind of cute hair there. I think that's so adorable. So now I decided to add some kind of almost like fringe in the middle of her ear. So I just took some felt and I kind of fringed it a little bit, and now I'm just gluing it together. And I'm going to glue it inside her ear just to give a little bit of dimension and some character there. And literally just adding a little doplet of glue on the end of the fringed felt and then on the inside of the ear. And then I do that on both sides. And there she is. Now, notice on the puppet on the left, I've got teeth. I need to add teeth to our girl puppet here. So I took basic cutlery, plastic cutlery, and just cutting them. Now, be careful. These do kind of like go all over the place. And then you could add as many teeth as you want. I decided to add 4 on her. And they basically just took the hot glue. How cute is that? Took the hot glue and put glue on the top. And then I just glued it kind of where the mouth, the felt mouth plate is, so that it looks like the teeth are coming, like from the mouth, if that makes any sense at all. Now, this is a great way to use, like, when you get takeout and you get the cutlery, it's a great way to use that so that you're not wasting it. And it's really fun to add teeth because it adds such personality to the puppets. I mean, look at that. That's so, so silly. I love it so much. Here we go. And there she's got teeth now. You can add all sorts of other details too. You could, put blush on it so the cheeks, are a little bit flush. I decided to add a little bit more details and adding some bows. So I added a bow tie to the dude puppet. The girl puppet here, I'm adding a little bow to her hair. And then I found this little flower that I had in my stash, and I decided to add it on top of the bow. And that's it. There she is. How easy is that? Now all you have to do is put your hand inside and you can create your own little puppet shows. I love this so much. It's really easy to make a puppet like this. You can do it with young children, with students. I do it in productions, and I just love how these turned out. Now with your nose, I just wanted to comment, you can use pom-poms for a nose. There's so many options for some of the materials, whatever you have at home. So here I am with the 2 puppets. I think they came out so cute. I hope you give this a try. So thank you so, so much for joining me for this week's Theater Craft. I will see you next week. Have a great week, everybody. Bye.